Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
Welcome to 802 Scoop, the new Table Talk edition. We will be here Monday through Thursday at 4 o'clock with you. And finally, I'm going to introduce the mystery co-host that nobody guessed. Nobody guessed who the mystery co-host was. I couldn't even believe it. I thought for sure, especially with the one clue of you have a favorite whore. I thought for sure that was going to give it away.
Well, I guess not everybody has a favorite whore, but
Yeah.
Brian Whore is my favorite.
So any guesses now with the voice even before I show you all? No winners, no guesses. Here he is, the one and only Jeff Bergeron. Hey, how are you?
Hey, good afternoon, Raylene.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you. Always a
Yeah.
pleasure.
It was a nice, rainy, yucky weekend, but just before you came, the sun came out. It got all nice, bright, and sunny. You must have brought it here with you.
Yeah, probably, huh?
Yeah, you brought in the sunshine.
Because I thought I was the one that brought in the snow and the rain all weekend. So
No. Did you have any troubles with it?
no.
Just cancellations of games.
Yeah, yeah. My grandson plays AAU basketball. They had 2 games scheduled down at VTC Saturday. They got canceled, and then they played one at VTC yesterday, and then last night up at Twinfield. So they got a couple games in.
They at least got a couple. That's good. Not usual that would happen at that time of year where they would all of a sudden miss out, I'm sure.
No.
Although we're not surprised by snow at the end of March at all. I know that sometimes Easter falls at the end of March, and we've had some egg hunts that were totally buried. The eggs were hidden the night before, totally buried, couldn't find them. The kids were just freaking out, all of that good stuff. But Easter's not until the 20th of April this year. 4/20 this year. Yeah.
Ooh,
So we got a
2
little
things
way-
to celebrate.
Yeah, a few things to celebrate. That's right. So speaking of basketball games and things going on, you just came off of all of the tournament games up at the auditorium.
Yeah, 2 weeks of nothing but basketball. It was a lot of fun. Helped out the Barry Tournament Committee. You know, it's a volunteer group. So I was up there, I think the whole thing. 3 weeknights, 2 weeks in a row, and 2 Saturdays. Great time.
A lot of good teams, a lot of good stuff was happening.
A lot of
I
good
know
stuff. You know, the Montpelier boys, Williamstown played. Montpelier boys won their 5th state championship in a row.
Wow.
West Rutland girls won their 4th championship in a row. Real exciting. It was fun.
And a lot of kids breaking a lot of records this
Yeah.
year too, as far
Yeah.
as shots, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
Yep.
That made their thousands.
Their points.
Yeah, their
Yep.
points.
Yep.
And I saw some, the Williamstown girls had been recognized for a few different things. And I've seen the write-ups about that, and just looked like a really good time this year.
It was good. It was
Yeah.
fun.
How does that all work at the auditorium? You and I were talking before, and you said it's actually a really good thing for the city.
It's a great thing for the city.
Yeah.
You know, not just for the city, but for the merchants on Main Street. So you're running, it's 2 weeks. It's the state championships for divisions 2, 3, and 4, girls and boys. So you have 2 games a night on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday nights. and then Saturday's 3 games of championships. So the semifinals are during the week, championships on Saturday, and for 2 weeks straight. So you got a lot of people in town. Probably my guess would be 30,000 plus people in those 2 weeks that come into the city. So
That's pretty incredible.
and they got to eat somewhere.
For sure. And then how does it all work? Is the auditorium just donated time because it's local schools? How does that all work? I know that a lot of people are concerned about that, and maybe that the auditorium is kind of a waste of time and money.
So no, it's not free. The tournament's run by the Vermont Principals Association. They handle all the high school events, spelling bees, tournaments, just overall management of the school systems. So they pay the city. So for that week, on the Monday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, and Saturday, they pay the city the full rental fee for those 4 days, and it's $15.50 a day. At least it was when I was still working there, and I'm sure it's the same. So that's 8 days at $1,550 just to use the building. They pay to have the custodial crew there, police coverage, and EMT coverage.
Nice.
So the city gets a nice chunk of money out of this. And it's a lot different for the VPA in Barrie than it is in Burlington. When they have Division I in Burlington, it's at UVM. And they have to pay for every employee, whether they're selling tickets, collecting tickets, concessions, everything they have to pay extra for up there. Whereas here, because we have this Barrie Tournament Committee, the people that collect tickets, usher people to their seats, work the scoreboard, all of those things, they don't have to pay for. The tournament committee.
Because you're all volunteers.
Because we're all volunteers. So the city does pretty well on it.
I guess so. And you do it just for the love of the game?
Yeah, love of the game, I was involved with it for probably 15, 16 years before I kind of retired from that. And then a couple of years ago, I went back to just help out, at night.
After you retired.
After I retired, yeah.
But now you're retired, but not so retired, because now you're city council, you're doing stuff at the basketball, and now you're a co-host of this, afternoon podcast, and which will probably get you into all kinds of trouble.
Well,
You never know, especially hanging around with me.
it's better you than Booton, but
Yes, definitely. I'll give you that, because we wouldn't have stuck you with, made you hang out with.
I like
Booton.
Michael. Michael's a good man.
Isn't he a good guy?
He is.
He is. Yeah, don't worry. I worry him a little bit sometimes too. I can't help it. But I promise that I will try really hard not to get you into any troubles. Get you on any subjects that are possibly going to stir the pot here, which sometimes isn't easy. Sometimes it just happens accidentally when you read things in the paper and see things. And one of the good things that we've read and seen lately is stuff about the auditorium and all the great things that are going on up there, and our youth and what they're doing. And I think sometimes we forget that they're like our future. This is what we should be investing our time and our money and our heart into, really, is these sorts of things that keep them busy and happy, and that they too have something besides a phone to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, what I was doing during those 2 weeks was, we have people that are set down on the floor in the corners of the court, the basketball court. So if something happens, you're there to just take care of it right away. So I was on the side where the student section is. And I'd invite anybody, if you're going to go to a tournament game, just go up and watch the students. They're very well behaved, and they're fun to watch. You'd have them ask questions like, "Are we the best student group you've had in here?" And there was one school, I think it was People's Academy. I said, "Well, I can vouch for one thing: you're definitely the loudest group we've had in here." But it's fun. It's fun to watch the students' reactions, and the adult side is usually packed. I mean, you get these small schools that come in, and it's like they bring the whole town with them.
Yeah. So I heard the girls talking about, I think it was Hazen, that had literally decorated Route 14 from Hazen all the way to the auditorium.
They did, yes. They had red and blue balloons all over the place. They had some signs on telephone posts. It was pretty cool.
I mean, that's spirit right there.
That is spirit.
You pretty much are really excited about what's happening.
Yeah.
Where did they end up? Do you know where Hazen ended up with
I think the Hazen girls lost in the championship.
that? Yeah.
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 It's a little foggy. It's been a couple of weeks.
Right. But hey, they definitely gave it their all, and definitely
Hazen's,
had a
they're
ton
they're
of
usually
support.
there. They're always at the auditorium come tournament time.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of my family comes from, is up that direction.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised if any of them are in the stands there. I'm sure that they're, all loud and crazy as always. So that's awesome to hear. Now, did you ever, when you were working for the city, did you have anything to do with the egg hunt?
My guys would just help maybe Stephanie get the eggs up to the site, but that was Stephanie's gig, and very successful, for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was worried that it was going to go away.
It's not going away.
But it's not going away. I saw they are still
Yep.
doing it, so that made me really happy to see. They finally announced it last week. It hadn't been really talked about prior to that. So everybody was curious and wondering, and good to see that that's
Yeah.
continuing.
It's,
So that's something in the city.
I guess this year it's going to be in the BOR.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was my next question. So the BOR, so now we're set up for turf in there,
It's turf time. Yeah.
right in time for the bunny.
Right in time for the bunny. Yeah.
Thank goodness.
So the turf is in. I believe I had a discussion last week about this with a couple of guys that work up there. So the turf is in, but it's going to be taken up in May. There's a big repair job that needs to be done on the refrigeration system. So they got to pull the turf up. They got to put a new header in for the system. And I think it may be down the whole month of May. I'm not sure, but it will be down and out of service for most, if not all, of May.
And then they'll put the turf back
Then
down.
the turf will
and
go right back in.
can resume. What do they do up there on the turf?
Oh gosh, lacrosse practices in there. Berry Community Baseball. So they have batting cages in there. So
Oh.
batting cages.
Oh,
for
that's right.
Baseball
Isn't
practice.
there some sort of competition between you and Nicholas?
Yes, there is. Yes.
And that's with the batting cages?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Nicholas first came here, I brought him up there to the batting cages, and so we joke around about it. He says I need a lot more time in the cage to get better, and I kind of made fun of his swing. He swings. He's a left-hander. I'm a right-hander, and I think it was at my retirement announcement at the council meeting one night. I said I watched him get in the cage, and I thought he had a swing just like Ruth. And it wasn't Babe Ruth, it was Ruth that served coffee down at the Cumberland Farms. But him and I have a little banter going on about our swings. So
Well, maybe we can have some sort of competition, and if we need to fundraise for anything, we can set up a little competition between you and Nicholas and sell some raffle tickets and see if we can get that going. That'll be better than the Joe's Pond Ice Out.
yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm in. We'll have to check with Nicholas, but I'm in.
Right. You think he's?
Oh, yeah,
I think he's worried. Do you?
No, he's not. He's a young guy. He's not. He doesn't worry too much. He thinks the age difference is in his favor. So.
Oh, yeah. Well, you just may have to show him up, Jeff. We can't let that happen. We cannot let that
If
happen.
anybody hasn't yet been up to the BOR when the turf is in, it is open to private rentals. I actually had my grandson's birthday party up there last September. He had, I don't know, 20 plus friends there, and they did whatever they wanted: football, soccer, baseball.
I
They had a
never would have
ball.
thought of that's an
Oh,
awesome
it's great.
idea.
It's great. You can find the information on the city website. It'll give you the fees for rentals. And we did. We rented for 2 hours and just had a ball. It was great.
So, I mean, just the best of both worlds. You
Yeah.
are kind of outside playing and you can do whatever
Yeah.
and without breaking any windows or anything.
Yep.
And the weather doesn't matter.
Right.
Definitely the best of both worlds.
Right. We brought in our own snacks and stuff and birthday cake and served that up in the concession area, the BOR, and perfect setup.
Oh, that I never would have thought to do that. But what a perfect idea. Absolutely. What else is going on? Anything fun and exciting in your end of the city?
In my end of the city,
Yeah.
not much. I went to some AAU games this past weekend, but so down in my end of the city where I reside,
Uh-huh.
it's kind of I see the police a lot down in my end of the city.
Yeah.
There's a little activity next door that people are running their own little business, and the police are there quite often.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot of that lately. We've had a little bit of it here, and
Yeah.
where people show up and we say, "Hey, we don't recognize that person." This past weekend, we had someone that we don't recognize show up and stash a bike here as if it belonged here. And but we have cameras everywhere, and I share them with the police department. If you're caught on our cameras here in this building doing anything and you don't belong here, it will get shared right down to the police department.
I'm all for that. I know we've had that discussion, a brief discussion, at a recent council meeting about cameras.
Yeah.
I'm all for cameras. In fact, when I worked for the city, we had a camera once before on the front of City Hall, and it was focused on basically City Hall Park and the gazebo. And we did. We not only found that camera was kind of old. You couldn't get a really good picture off it, but we were able to find some people that had done some vandalism at the park. With this new camera, I think it's so much better that there's no doubt you can tell who someone is. I know some people don't like the idea of having cameras on Main Street or in the park. We do have cameras up at the swimming pool. We had multiple issues with vandalism up there. And in fact, the cameras that we installed caught someone vandalizing. So, my thought with the whole camera thing is, why worry about it? If you're not doing anything wrong, why are you worried about a camera?
Well, and what is interesting to me is that everywhere you go today, you are on camera. In a neighborhood, walking, chances are the majority of the people in that neighborhood have cameras, even if they're just the Ring doorbell cameras.
Right.
Stores, banks, airports, restaurants, everywhere you go, there's a camera. You don't pull in anywhere where it says, where you don't see a sign that says there's surveillance of some sort. So the privacy issue, it's really not an issue because there is no privacy. You just need to kind of resign yourself to that fact that when you leave your home, there's no longer any privacy. That's the way I look at it. My home is my little hut where that's my safe space. But when I go outside of that, I have to know that, and I know for a fact that at least 3 houses that I drive by have security, and those are just the ones that I know. And so I know, yep, they saw me just drive by, and if they needed to pull that up on their camera for some reason, and they could. But I've also seen those cameras working for great things like a lost pet or, a missing elderly person who has wandered away, or where they're able to check those cameras in the neighborhoods from people that live right in your neighborhood and figure out what's going on and
Yeah.
help out. So it's not all doom and gloom, but everywhere you go, they're there. Stores. I
Right.
mean, how many times a week do we see Walmart cameras posted all over Facebook because they're looking for somebody who, stole something up
Sure.
there?
Anything like, when the car drove into the Price Chopper
Yeah.
building. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
It's a part of life now.
Yeah,
You
and they
know?
come in handy. I mean, I know that my car was sideswiped in a parking lot, and I call the store, call Hannaford. They check the cameras. The police have to do all of that for you because they can't tell you who hit your car because they worry about revenge or retaliation, and they don't put you in that situation. But they were able to figure out who sideswiped my car and get me that information. Now, whether or not the person is insured is another story,
Right.
because in my case they weren't. But at least they know that now, and you can file a claim, and they can help you with all of that. And if those cameras weren't there, things may not have worked out the same for me insurance wise,
Right.
even money wise.
Right.
So I really don't. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Barb Drew says that's why it's called being out in public.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're public.
Once you leave the privacy of your home, you're in the public eye. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean, and even people, taking pictures or selfies or videos of something else happening in the same vicinity of yours, the chances of you being in those videos if you're out in public are pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean, you really can't escape it. They used to just call them photo bombers, but now it's a big deal if, Barb also says we just need stiffer penalties now. So if somebody is caught doing something wrong, that something actually happens to them, which I think that we can all agree on that, we're a little light when it comes to that stuff.
It's the catch and release program.
Yeah, for sure. We come across that all the time and with different things. And definitely, I know I would love to see more cameras up in the city. I was coming down Washington, so I was at the stoplight by the gazebo, and I saw that one whole section of railing, the spindles are kicked right out of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that was just fixed. It looks like hell. And at the beginning of the year last year, in the summer, beginning of summer, we were setting up there with a farmer's market right in that same area, and it was beautiful. I believe some volunteers had come in.
It was, yes. Because the previous summer, my crew went down and replaced several spindles that were broken off the railing, and then the skirting. There was a section that faced the Universalist Church that was kicked out.
Yeah.
We replaced all of that, and then within a year, they had a volunteer group in there doing the exact same thing that we had done the previous year.
Yeah.
Replacing spindles and skirting. And that was, I think it was around June, late June, early July, somewhere around there. And now, like you said, you go over there and look right now, this section's kicked out again.
Oh, it's terrible. One whole section too, where there's there's the railing that is there, but there's no spindles anymore, and then some big holes kicked in the skirting around and it looks terrible.
It is, it's sad that you have that happen. That's why at one time we roped it off. So we didn't want people even going up and sitting in it. Because, you'd fix something, you go back a week later and it's smashed again. We've had to replace, there's outlets in that gazebo that we use for the lighting during events, smashed outlets, It's uncalled for.
It is uncalled for, and I don't ever remember when I was a kid having it. It was always just like a nice, pretty place to be. And we would go down. Of course, I don't know. I think we were raised a lot different. I don't think I know we were. When we always walked back and forth to school, of course. We walk everywhere. And we would sit on the granite bench that surrounds the statue. And if my mom, and maybe this isn't a big deal to some, but if my mom had caught us running on top of that bench and climbing up and around it and all over the statue, she would have kicked our butts. I mean, in a second, she would have kicked our butts. Running around playing with your feet on the ground and running around the outside of the monument wouldn't have been a big deal, but to be just with your muddy boots all over the bench and up and around and climbing on the statue, that never, I mean,
Yeah.
that would not have been okay. We would have been in big trouble. And I see that a lot. I go down and there's, kids climbing all over, but most discouraging is the adults.
Right.
It's the adults that are
Yeah.
doing that are climbing all over it. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? It just is, it's such a pretty little spot. It's a shame.
It got to the point where during the Heritage Festival, my crew would go down the Thursday before the Heritage Festival started, and we roped it off so that people wouldn't be climbing on it. You'd look at it at the end of the event, and there were stains from grease from like French fries or other foods. People would spill soda. It just got to the point where the city manager said, "Let's just rope it off." And you hate to do that. It's because I remember that too. You could drive by and you'd see people sitting on that, people taking pictures of it.
Yeah. And it's not the same. And then roping it off, I'm not even sure roping it off would matter anymore.
It doesn't matter.
No.
No, they'll crawl under it.
Yeah, crawl under it, crawl over it, take the rope down altogether.
Yeah.
I don't think it would matter anymore. And it's almost heartbreaking for somebody who's lived here always, just like you. I mean, we know how things have been and were and are, and it's discouraging sometimes.
It is.
When you think about it all.
It's like the pool when I talked about the vandalism earlier. So that's why there's no restrooms up there. There's restrooms in the bathhouse when the pool's open. There's always been some restrooms there in the block building over near the tennis courts, but continuously we'd replace a toilet, a sink, and you go back 3 days later and someone's taken something and smashed the heck out of them, and got to the point where we locked them up and said so before I retired last summer, spring, whatever it was, we looked into redoing those restrooms. And basically it's with metal sinks, metal toilets, stronger doors. I don't know, it's just, you dump money into something and it lasts less than a month. It's kind of sad.
It is sad. Well, and so they're open only when the pool is open, or are they?
Right now, because those are the only restrooms, are the restrooms in the bathhouse.
Yep. And which I remember from when I was a kid. I mean, it's the same thing. We at the concession stand, we could go down there and get snacks and drink, and we'd be at the pool almost all day. I mean, we would walk from home and we'd say to Mom in the morning, we're going to the pool, and sometimes we didn't come back till dinner time.
Yeah.
And that's where we spent our entire day.
Yeah. I remember when we were kids, if you weren't at the pool by like 11 o'clock and the pool opened at noon, you wouldn't get a spot to put your towel on the grass.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be so busy.
It was so busy.
Yeah.
The line was busy, and it's not like that anymore, though, is it?
It's not as busy.
No.
You remember back then, not everybody had a pool in their backyard.
Right.
If
True.
you were lucky enough that you had some friends whose family had a pool, and good for you, you could go there. But
True.
Nowadays, you can go to like Walmart and buy one of those blow-up pools for a couple $100 or $300, and just
Throw it
stay
in the
right in your
yard.
backyard.
Yeah, true. Um, yeah, there was something about going though, meeting all your friends
Yeah.
there and hanging out for the day and the independence of it. And like I said, my mom didn't go down there and hang out the entire day with us. Once in a while, she would go down or for a little while, but she definitely didn't go down and hang out for the day. And we could go down there
Yeah.
and we didn't get into trouble. We just hung out and did our thing down there. It was
Yeah.
great. It was great, and it's almost sad that can't happen anymore.
Yeah.
Well, not almost. It is.
So before we went to the big pool up at the south end, we lived down in the north end. So we'd walk over to where the fire station is now
Yeah.
and had the North Berry pool, which I think at the deepest end, I think it was 5 feet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is where I like to go because I couldn't swim, so I wasn't petrified to be in there. In the summer, it was the north end, and we would slide during the winter
Yep.
at North Berry School, slide down the big hill.
Yep.
In the sun and play hockey at Willie Street, and then loved being or skating or playing hockey at Willie Street. It was just so much fun. And then in the summer we'd hang out at North Berry Pool.
Yeah.
Before we were old enough to hike it over to the big pool.
Yeah, then that was cool because then we could ride our bikes on the old railroad bed, which is
Yeah.
now the bike path.
Yep.
And that took us from the north end right to the pool.
Yeah. We used to hook on to the bike path, I think near Ward 5 School.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't bike path yet, but you
No.
could. That's where we
Yeah.
got on the railroad bed, was
Yep.
near Ward 5. Yeah, and walked over. All those adventures that we were so lucky to
Oh,
have
yeah.
that kids don't have now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Latchkey kids, I think is what we were called. Did you do that or did you have somebody home?
No, both my parents worked,
Yeah.
so we usually had one of my cousins was a babysitter for us for a few summers, and Tracy's mom, Tracy
Oh.
and Val's mom.
Yep.
And my parents, we had a station wagon, and when Kathy, their mom, got her driver's license, they'd leave a car, and she could take us around to things. So yeah.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
We were latchkey kids for
Yeah.
sure, which you can, if you did that nowadays, you'd be in jail. But, I mean, gosh, from the time probably I was in third grade, we would just go home after school. And we didn't, the doors weren't locked. You didn't have to worry about having the key
Yeah.
or losing your key because you just went home. The doors were unlocked at that time. They didn't lock the house up. The damn neighbors could come in and get a bologna sandwich if they wanted and wait for you. If you had detention or something and,
Oh, yeah.
hang out and wait for you. But, all of those sorts of things, like you say, the old way the Heritage Festival was, or the gazebo and the pool and the way things were. It's just sad to see things the way they are now. Now, are there tennis courts up there still?
Yes, there are.
There are.
Yep.
I did
There's
not know that.
Four tennis courts. And a couple of them, a couple of years back, I think 2 of the courts, we painted some pickleball lines on them.
Oh, yep.
So they can, at any time be switched over to pickleball courts too.
And there's still the common space where you can have
The shelter.
cookouts, shelters, stuff
Yep.
like that. Now, is there portalets or anything down there, or no restrooms there either?
There's usually a portalet because Berry Community Baseball uses the little ball field down
Oh,
by
yes,
the river.
yes.
Yeah. So they usually get the portalet and put it up there. Yeah.
That's nice. I mean, they're expensive. They're expensive
They
to
are.
have, and
They
those. I mean, I think the city tried that a little bit too, here and there.
Yeah, and I think I had talked with Carl Rinker before I retired, and we were going to try to work something out where, with the help of the Rotary, maybe get a little restroom building put up there by the shelters. it should really could have one there. It'd be great if they could.
Yeah, just especially if it's rented out for, people to come and have a
Right.
function. But I'm assuming that if you rented it and you were having a function, they would allow you to rent your own porta potty if you wanted.
You could, yes.
Yeah, they do let you do that.
Yeah.
So that helps. But still, it's not the same. That it would be nice to have some sort of upgrade to that
Yeah.
rec space for sure.
I mean, it won't be long before, they'll be opening up.
I know we're getting there, right?
Tomorrow's April 1st.
When is it usually Memorial Weekend or before that?
Usually Memorial Weekend, the
Yeah.
pool will open.
Yep. And then, but the rec space is always open. Winter, no matter what the year,
Yeah.
it's always open.
Yep.
Yeah, what time of year. So that's pretty cool. So we do have things for kids. That's what I see the most. And that's what I've seen a lot of comments lately of, especially when we start talking about the BADC, start talking about the JJ Newberry building. Let's put something there for kids. Let's put they have so much in Burlington or Essex.
Yeah.
The Monkey Do and some indoor jumping place. I don't even know the names of them all. Get Air, I think that one's called.
Yeah.
A few places like that. I'm not really sure that even though there are a lot of kids that need something to do, I'm not sure that something like that here would really work. I don't think it would kick off the same as it has in Burlington, because you still have to be able to accommodate all of the types of families and people in the community. And I don't see that kind of money here to be able to do those sorts
No,
of things.
And I remember when Lucas was mayor, Lucas and I worked on getting a grant when we still owned the Wheelock building, tried to get a teen center started up in there, and it's a lot of money to get something off the ground like that.
Yeah, and then you have to staff it, or you have to have volunteers that are willing to be there. You can't just open a building and say, okay, go crazy.
Right.
That isn't how all of that can happen. So I just see these comments more and more lately as the point gets near of when the BADC is supposed to have their money by, what they raise by. And I see that those comments are coming in more and more as people post things about what's happening. Some people think it should be a big, huge daycare center with, apartments that are low income or above. And I don't know that. I know that we need some daycare, but I don't know that we need that much daycare.
Well,
that's a little excessive. A grocery store and a parking garage would be cool.
yeah.
But I'm sure that will be the least liked suggestion.
I see it being more of a mixed use
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
Maybe some retail on the bottom floor, office space, apartments. I don't think just having a big, whatever you want to call it, rec center or teen house.
Well, and we just talked about that because really we already have that right up on the hill.
We do.
It is available, and there are, sure, you have to rent it, but if there were groups of people that wanted to rent it and hold these events for these kids so that there is a place to be, or suggestions. I know they do open gyms. They do those a lot, and those are all donated. I
Yes.
think the Moutois.
The Moutois, I think the Lions Club helped out with that. That's one of the best things that's happened up there, with not having an organized organization taking care of an after-school program. What they do is I think it's a Sunday night, and it's free. The Moutois pays the rental fee for the auditorium, and I think it's for a couple hours on Sunday nights.
Yeah, and it's usually packed from
It's
what I
packed.
understand.
Bernie Allen is one of the guys that got this thing started, and he's there every Sunday night, and they take up a collection, but if you don't have the money, it's not a problem. We don't worry about it. It's great. It's something for kids to do, and he said he's had a night where he's hit almost 90 kids in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they just go and shoot hoops?
Yeah, they just
or-
do what they want. So we use the court itself with the two big baskets, and then there's 4 baskets around the perimeter,
Yeah.
and they use them all. So they're using 6 baskets. You get about almost 90 kids.
Which is awesome. They can
Yeah.
get out some energy, and like you said, it's no cost, and that's something that is donated.
Yeah.
And from the Mutua or the Lions Club,
Yep.
and definitely it's easy to throw them a few bucks here and there to donate to those
Sure.
sorts of things yourself too, so
Yep.
that they can keep on doing those
Yep.
things. But there are things to do here. It's just a matter of perception, I guess, of what it is that you want to do. If you want to be, you know, I guess sending your kid into the jungle gym to jump all day, or for a couple of hours, and or if you want them to be running and active and interacting with their friends and peers, and it's all a matter of what you're looking for, I guess. But I think that we actually have a lot right here.
Yeah. And for adults, they set up pickleball nets in the auditorium on the weekdays. So,
Do you do that?
do I do it?
Yeah. Do you do pickleball?
You know what? We had our 50th class reunion this summer, 24, and I tried it, and it's fun.
It is fun.
It is fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not, I haven't really gotten into it a lot, but I could see where you can. It's fun.
So
The groups that go up there, like in the mornings, they're you might as well call them professionals, because there's some people that are really good.
So, be totally honest. After you play pickleball, how many days does it take to recover?
For me,
Yes,
it took me a couple of days.
it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it would take
Yeah,
me too.
it's-
I know it. I know it 100%. That's what it would take me
Yeah.
as well.
It's a lot
flat out
of it's a
would kick
move.
my
It's a lot of
ass.
moving. It's not just like playing ping pong or something. But
Well, is it more like racquetball?
Kind of,
I used to do that
yeah.
at Wedgwood.
yeah,
When it was way back when it was called that. But we used to play racquetball.
I mean, when this first came out, I looked at it and said, "Oh yeah, it looks like kind of like a giant ping pong table," But
So it's not an open court. It actually is.
it's got lines.
Yeah.
You got your net, and it kind of looks like a wiffle ball, but it's harder, and it's like almost like a big wooden paddle, like a big ping pong paddle.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to go check that out. I've heard that. So pickleball and disc golf is like the big
Yeah.
thing now. And disc golf, they do right up in Barrytown
Yeah.
at the Millstone.
Yep.
I believe they have a kick-ass trail, from what I understand there.
Yep.
I know a few people that do that, and they say that that's wonderful and a ton of exercise as well.
Yeah. If you were a frisbee thrower, then that'd be the thing to get into. Yeah.
I've never tried that. I've never seen the courts. I've heard that they put a lot of work and time and energy into making those courts, and not courts, the
Course. It's
yeah,
like a
that's
golf
a
course.
Yeah, that's an
Yeah.
actual course where you're running through it, and I think that would be awesome. And they have trails. Some of the trails that they
Yeah.
have up there are incredible. I'd love to see the pictures on Facebook, because I didn't know there were so many unique stones just out in the woods.
Oh, when you get up in Millstone.
Yeah, up in Millstone.
Yeah.
I never had any clue that all of those things existed just out in the woods, kind
Yeah.
of. Were they seconds? Were they throwaways? Like, how did all that stuff just get put out there?
some
Did
of them
they
were-
intentionally place
well,
them?
that's what I
Because they
think
don't look it.
I think some of those were carved in place. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I really like it.
So Pierre Kuchar basically runs the Millstone section. But the Berrytown Recreation Board, they do a lot of things up there too. They have like these walks for kids through the trails, and they have like little dinosaur setups, and they do a lot of things up
Yeah,
there.
and they have some nighttime walks.
Yeah.
The moon walk, I think is what
Yeah.
it's called. They do those in the winter as well as the summers. So
Yeah.
that's super cool. Mariah wants to. We should start badminton. I haven't played badminton for forever, but you could do that up at the.
You could do that in the BOR. You could do it in the auditorium.
Yep.
That's something you can do, inside, outside.
Yeah, or even up at the playground,
Yeah.
the tennis court area
Yeah.
or something if you wanted to. I haven't done that in many, many years. Again, that would probably kick my ass and I would need to rest for 2 days after. I need to start exercising, going to the gym again or something because I'm getting wuss. Getting a little bit weak in my old age. But just to get out and to know, I've never been up to the cow pasture.
I've walked that a couple of times. I'll tell you where I like to walk is Hope Cemetery.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yep.
because you can do there's some hills, and you go around the whole thing. It's pretty big. I think it's 80 acres, something like that. But no, that's good walking. And I've done the cow pasture a couple of times.
And at Hope, you see something different every time. I swear, every time I go up there, there's something that I didn't spot the
Yeah.
time before. Or, and of course, that's where my mom is. And thank goodness we have that. We heard not too long ago that Rock of Ages was stopping their tours.
Yeah.
And again, something from childhood, something I remember going there with school trip.
Yeah.
Or back when I was real young, they still had the train going, which was absolutely terrifying if you ask me. But then when I went later in life, when I was a little bit older, we didn't do the train anymore, but they had the tours and
Yeah.
things going on up there. And I had never been to the new visitor center, though. I was always, when it was in Graniteville, up above,
Yeah.
right on the hill. And so to hear that they were just shutting it down and not going to do those anymore was kind of sad, for sure.
Yeah.
But as you brought up, you still have the tours in the cemetery, and
We
those
do.
are absolutely a place to go.
So we get, I don't know, probably a dozen or so bus tours that come through. We have a tour guide that it's a subcontracting position. So they call the city, make a reservation, and this person does the tours. But now with this whole thing happening with Rock of Ages, the Granite Museum folks were in at the city council meeting a week ago, and there's 106 or 108 tours or buses or something that are going to be coming in that used to go there. So the Granite Museum, working with the city, with Hope Cemetery, they're going to get these tours in here so that it'll help the people on Main Street, the restaurants and the stores.
Absolutely.
Because, that's a lot of people to send up. They'd go up to the quarry and go in the gift shop. But there's some other things in the work too that are, not quite off the ground yet, involving Hope Cemetery and the tours. And you'll hear more about it probably in the next couple of weeks or so.
And I just hope that people that live right here start to, enjoy those spaces too, because like I said, you see something new every time. Not too long ago, they put that house in up there.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my goodness, that thing is absolutely incredible.
It is.
Just
It is.
incredible. But the craftsmanship and it'll blow your mind, some of the stuff that is in there, for
Yeah.
sure.
So through all my years working for the city here, the last whatever it was, 17 years, I like going up to Elmwood Cemetery too. And if you want to be amazed about monuments, go up and look at those. that were installed in like the 1800s.
Yeah.
And you've got these obelisks and these huge monuments.
Yep.
It was all set with horses and block and tackle,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. No machines
No
about
machines.
it.
No.
Yeah. It is incredible. Of course, that's the cemetery that I walk in right now just because it's close to home.
Yeah.
So if I go, go down to Elmwood and walk, and that's where all the kids slide in the winter.
Yeah.
That's where Elmwood is the hot spot, it seems, in the winter time.
Yeah.
But so same thing, and we go from the Granite Museum, which is also a super cool place, the cemeteries, but even the museum. I have not been to the museum right up here where I went to school, Spalding Graded, the old Spalding Graded.
Yeah.
I've never been in there, but I think to myself, but why not? Maybe I should go check it out and see what's in there. And I wonder how many people that live right here have never gone in and checked it out. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I've never just taken the time to go see what's up in there. I've heard some great things about it and heard people talking about it. And of course, Amanda Gustin, she has done a couple of things. Well, she brought the, I don't want to call it a plaque. They hung it at the auditorium last year over the
yes.
doors. That was insane.
Yeah.
And she told all about
The
that.
Barry Victory sign.
Yes. the
Yeah,
sign.
that was on a ship in World War II. And it's hanging now in the front lobby of the auditorium.
Yeah, right above the doors.
Yeah.
And she had a really cool, and it took her them a bit to get that here. And there was a lot of like, oh my goodness moments and before that happened. But it's just one more thing that you hear about, but I've never taken the time to go.
Yeah.
And so when people say there's nothing to do here, and even I am guilty of that every once in a while, I'll feel like, ugh, there's nothing to do here. And really, there's quite a bit when you think about it.
Yeah.
There's enough stuff to do if you want to do it. Yeah, but do we really? Or would we rather just sit inside on our little phones typing about how there's nothing to do? I mean, come on, but...
Well, let me know when you're going to go up to the Spalding, to the museum up there. I'll go with you because I've never been in there.
Yeah, I
Never checked it out.
I think it would be cool to see. And like I said, a couple of people have, Amanda certainly has talked about and brought a few things forward that I thought, that's kind of interesting. And I've seen pictures of the inside of the Granite Museum, and Giuliano Ciccinelli did the show with Michael not long ago, and just some of the stuff that they do down there with the school alone is absolutely incredible. But I've never been inside, just seen pictures and videos, and but why not?
And they host events too.
Yeah, that's what
They've
I heard.
had class reunions and stuff down there.
And it's a great, beautiful space
Yeah.
to check out. And so, just I don't know, get out and enjoy.
I've been in there because we used to help out. Well, I think we still do. The Granite City Garden Club has their annual plant sale down there in May, and we'd bring down tables and help them get set up down there for that. And while I was doing that, I just kind of wandered around. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yeah, I'll have to go down there too. I've been down there, but only for Wheels for Warmth, so outside, with the tires for that big event, and a couple of other things over at Faith Community, the egg hunt, and different, things that were happening down there. They used to do some stuff in the summer where kids could go down to like basketball camps and things like that. So I've been down in the area, but have never been in. So I need to do that as well, get that going for sure. So that's kind of the moral of today's story, is there is things to do, and just get out there and do them. And the more and more I read it, people complaining that there's not, the more and more I think about, but there is.
Just check. There's always, Nicholas runs, I think it's once a month, the back page of the Times-Argus. He has events and things that are going on. and just go on the city website. If you want to rent the BOR for a couple hours, just go to the city website, pick your date, if it's, or call and see what's available. But if you've got kids and you want a birthday party or just something to do even on, I think on a daily basis, it's open in the morning at 8:30, from 8:30 to 10 or 10:30 for people that like to walk.
Oh, yeah, because they can use the turf for that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And same thing, the weather doesn't matter.
right.
And that's the thing. So the BOR is something that costs, but there are so many other things in the city that don't cost anything. Just literally you walking or driving a short distance
Sure.
to get there, and then hanging out with your kiddos. I mean, have a picnic and, hang out, right?
Yeah.
Enjoy some of the stuff that we have around here. Certainly it is. I think it's plenty.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot. It's
And we've got some nice playgrounds around town.
Yes, yeah.
In the last few years, that was one of the things we committed to, was putting playgrounds, fixing up the playgrounds.
Yep.
And when we had the Semper Bond money, we took out the old wooden playground 2000
Yep.
and put in the new playground that's there. That was, I think, in 2012. Then we put in a brand new structure at Matheson, across from Matheson School. Nativi Playground, which is down in the north end. It's right on the corner as you're coming off River Street where it turns into Center Street. That's a brand new playground. The newest one is up at Garfield,
Yes.
up off Prospect. A new one we put in the same time we did Nativi, we did down at Vine Street, off Berlin Street. And when I first started with the city, and I was still with the Barry Turner Committee then, we made a huge donation and we put in the Wabi Park playground down by the police fire station and a small basketball court. So the city's made a lot of investments in, little areas around the city for people to enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. And we know that some of those got some damage during the flooding. Some of
Yep.
them did experience, but I think that they've slowly tried to, or I shouldn't say slowly, as quick as they can, get those things repaired.
Yeah.
And I mean, understandably so. Fixing the road or dealing with a mudslide is going to come far,
Right.
quicker and before a playground. But they're there and it's
Yeah.
happening, and they are being, put back to the condition. And they're great places to be.
All right. Well, with the Vine Street playground, the governor came right in and spent 2 weekends.
Yes, he did.
Brought
Yes.
equipment and help and spent 2 weekends and got that playground all fixed up. We still have to do some work on the parts of the fence down there, but other than that, I mean, he had that thing taken care of in like 2 weekends.
Yes, he did. That it was super awesome to see him. I didn't know he was going to be in town. I was actually driving through town, and he wasn't at the playground. He was at
Down
Denty Park.
At Denty Park.
Yeah, he was down there at Denty Park with his yellow vest and shovel in hand and
Yep.
and cleaning. And he said, "This is my home," and he definitely put in some huge efforts, boots on the ground during that whole time,
Yeah.
for sure. Just awesome to see, for sure, that his efforts were statewide, but here as well. His
Yeah.
heart's still here, and super cool to drive by and see him out there working like that. So anyway, we'll see you all tomorrow, and Lord only knows what we'll talk about. I actually have a few things up my sleeve for tomorrow, but I'm not gonna tell Jeff just yet. We might have to surprise him a little bit. But and then Thursday this week. No, actually, it is Wednesday this week. You and I will have a guest in here with us. So Sam Fisk is going to come in and talk to us, and Sam has organized a new ride. It's a ride that this will be the first annual bike ride in memory of his son.
Oh,
And so he's going to be coming in here and talking to us about that. The ride is in July, and July seems like, oh gosh, that's a real long way away, but it's not when you're trying to plan this stuff at all. It's, it's do it now, do it quick, and get it figured out, because before you know it, it's happening. So he'll be in here with us, and then we'll spill all the beans about that when he comes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much.
So tomorrow I have to be
leave it
at
up to
City
him.
Hall at 5 o'clock
Yes, you do.
for, yes, a,
So we'll have to be cutting it a little short tomorrow, but that's fine. We work around all that, because tomorrow is city council meeting, but it's all
it's,
executive session.
it's just,
I
yeah,
thought.
it's probably only going to be an hour. It's
Mm-hmm.
just one item, I believe, on the agenda.
Yeah, and so, and all executive sessions, so, I mean, you can tune in, you can click the link if you want and tune in, and
Yeah.
usually guys come out, and you may or may not say anything about what had happened. You may save it for next week's meeting, who knows, but yeah, so tomorrow we'll only yak at you for a little bit, or maybe you duck out on us and we just have, Sam or somebody else. No, Sam will be here Wednesday.
Sam's
but
Wednesday.
We'll let you duck out early. Yeah, we won't scold you too much for that. But thanks for tuning in to the very first Table Talk. If you have items that you would like us to talk about, if you have subjects that you would like to have us dig into, please let us know. And if you ever want to join us, we'd love to have you. So do that as well. And until tomorrow, have a good night, a safe night, and we'll see you then.
All right.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.